This is the On to Mark Wrestling Podcast. Kick back and hang with your hosts, Kayode, Lewis, and Joel. Let's mark out.
Yes, y'all. You know what time it is. This is episode 81, baby. We are back. Post Rumble. We got the fellas, Joel, Lewis, myself. Welcome to another episode of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Fellas, what's happening? What's going on with you?
What is going on, everybody? It is another glorious episode here on the Mark Wrestling Podcast, and
Sir.
you know we're off to the races with the road to
man.
WrestleMania. You know, we're gonna shed some final thoughts because we already kind of touched on what the happenings were at the Royal Rumble, but you know, some final thoughts now that we've had a couple of days to let it marinate, let it process, all that good stuff, and you know, we'll dive into some AEW talk, and yeah, it should be a fun episode.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, and I don't know if you guys heard that, but I think I'm officially part of the team. And
Yes,
to that
yeah.
intro, I ain't going nowhere. Can't get rid of me now.
You are here to stay.
I'm here to stay. I'm part of the intro. That's it.
You part of the intro, man. Listen, you're here to stay, man. We back here at On the Mark Wrestling. We wanted to, you know, make sure you guys knew this is the 3-man band, 3-man booth, the 3-seated, you know, everything. Like, this is it. But we got to talk about some stuff. Especially when we get to some of the later stuff in the rundown. But right now, Lewis brings us the administrator's report. Lewis, listen, man, what we got brewing here, man? What's the word out in the street?
Well, welcome to the administrator's report. So it's about that time where I dive into some numbers, some data, and then provide some insight, get your thoughts, my lovely co-host thoughts, and all that good stuff. But let's dive into some viewership, right? So I'm going to start with Raw.
Okay.
This past Monday on Raw, we get... Actually, I'm going to take it back to last week, like pre-Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. So the go-home show did 2.9 million. That's a big deal. You know, that for a Monday night, that's still a big deal. 2.9 million people. But here's the kicker. Raw has now seen, and mind you, I'm not accounting for this past week, but it has now seen a 51% decline since the January 6th premiere.
Damn.
You know, the same premiere that they had The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Undertaker, you know, you name it, every celebrity that lives in Hollywood, apparently.
Yep.
So, I mean, look, part of it is that that's par for the course, and that's with any TV show. It's the law of diminishing returns. So you have a premiere, it's heavily promoted, people are going to tune in, right? Then afterwards, it kind of starts to lose its luster unless you have a really good storyline to hook people, and then you got that consistent viewership. So Raw, for the past 3 to 4 weeks, they've been doing good numbers, but there's a steady decline. And it got me thinking, all the so-called wrestling experts, the fans on social media, they're quick to shit on AEW about their viewership because they're always trying to compare it to WWE. But listen, there's a double standard here, and we know this. Anytime WWE has declining viewership or whatever it is with viewership or pay-per-view buy rates, well, I'm talking back in the day, but anytime there's like a dip in popularity, even for like a couple of weeks, you won't hear a peep out of these same folks. That's just something that I've noticed, right? So now I'm going to shift it over to AEW Dynamite's numbers. They actually had a slight increase from the previous week to 605,000 viewers, TV viewers. So remember, Dynamite is also being simulcast. So they're kind of almost in a similar boat that WWE is in with the Netflix stuff. They're not exclusively on Max, but Max is going to start accounting for a high percentage of their viewers. So I just thought it was interesting. You know, I think AEW is kind of settled on the 600,000 ish. That's just pretty much what the product is now. I don't think, never say never, but I don't think we'll ever get back to the days of a million viewers every week.
You don't think we can get there again? You don't think AEW can get to 1 million viewers once again? That's a big take.
I mean, listen, that's a good question. For me, not for the foreseeable future. I don't think we'll get back to that. Damn. What do y'all think? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Joe, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I don't see it either. Just because, and I don't think it's really a reflection of AEW though. I think it's more a reflection of like where the wrestling business is in general. Like, there's only 1 or 2 needle movers out there in wrestling. Yeah. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, maybe, like, because I don't even know if Cody Rhodes has that without Roman Reigns. Does Cody Rhodes even have that star power? So I think it's really just Roman Reigns, honestly, and Roman ain't going to AEW anytime soon. And even if Roman went to AEW, I still don't think the numbers would hold up like that. You probably would
get like a 2-week pop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably it.
That's the thing. Like like Lewis, you mentioned the double standard, and I think there is a huge double standard when it comes to this, just because people are used to WWE. It's literally the household name. When you think of wrestling, you think of WWE. So AEW is always going to be second, unless some crazy thing happens. They're always going to be second. So, I mean, if this is what they're settling down with, 600K, I think they'll get pops every now and then where you might see like 800. You know, if they promote it with some time in advance, you know, promote a big match, promote someone returning, Sting returning, or Danielson returning, things like those type of episodes will get a big pop where you might see 800K or something like that. But yeah, man, like consistent million, 800K numbers, I don't think we're seeing that anytime soon.
But for the second largest North American wrestling company, and they can't pull in, I might be giving them too much. I might have too much hope, but for them not to pull in at least 800,000, man, I have a hard time thinking that's a successful company. Then, like, how do you have such a huge? You have a huge TV deal. You got the money from that. You got the funds. You got the wrestlers. You got the names. You got all that stuff. You got the big company backing you. I just don't understand how you can't get at least 750 to 850 like that. I don't know. To me, that's more of a lack of interest in the product. That's like a lack of interest in wanting to watch what's going to happen next. I mean, WWE is hot, right? But they got what, 50, 60 years of history behind them, right?
Yeah.
So you top that with the big business they're doing, the hot angles they got, Triple H holding the pen. I mean, people tune in. That's why they can get at least 1 million. And probably by WWE standards, that's probably too low for the shit they're doing. So, I don't know, man. I have a little more hope. I agree with you also, Joel, not maybe for the foreseeable future, but there's like a little crack that I'm thinking that might live where they could get or hit that 750, 850 range. But time will tell. But let me ask you something. Going off script, with what the product is right now, do you consider AEW right now a successful wrestling brand right now?
So that's the second time that you use the word successful. So I think it ultimately depends on what the criteria is for success. Because in Tony Khan's mind, and he's supposed to do this because he's the CEO, but he's always touting the company's success, especially with regards to the renewal of the TV deal with Warner Brothers Discovery and the streaming deal and all that. That's huge. From a business standpoint, it is very big. So you could say AEW right now is extremely successful because they're, as far as live programming, think about in the grander scheme of things, we're in the year 2025. Cable networks, network television, they're all thirsty. They're hungry for people
content.
to tune in, right, to content in real time, live, you know?
Yeah.
And that's including DVR and all of that, and even streaming if they pay for Sling or YouTube TV or whatever. But they're starving for things like that from Monday through Friday, because the only type of program that attracts those live numbers like really high are sports, you know, because nowadays people don't have to necessarily wait until a Tuesday night or a Thursday night to watch an episode of their favorite TV show. Because, you know, if they miss it, they can always go back and stream it. You know, that's just how it is. So it's just a different time period. And I think that I've said this before, but some of these idiots online, they just got to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because I have to say it that way, because like AEW will never, ever, ever be on the level of WWE. Yes, some of their booking is very frustrating. The Death Rider storyline, I think we can all conclude that it's just not hitting and it's fizzled out. However, they have enough talent to make it, you know, an enjoyable product. And if you've ever been to an AEW live show, you're gonna get your money's worth. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting the sports entertainment fluff, you know? And it's not everybody's cup of tea. AEW is very much a niche type of product.
Right.
You know, you're tuning in for, yes, like you have stories, but it's really because of they built a reputation that it's going to be those 4 to 5 star high spot type matches. Again, not everybody's tea. I get that. But people cannot shit on AEW for not being in WWE's league, like, because that'll never happen. Like, it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
But the fact that Warner Brothers Discovery considers it a success for them, you got to give AEW some credit. You know what I'm saying? I'll wait for any other television program other than live sports that Warner Brothers Discovery has that's bringing in 600,000 viewers in real time on live television.
I mean, that's
I challenge all the people on social media that want to comment and do all of that. But you know, that I digress.
No, that makes sense, man. Joel, what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, man, I gotta agree with Lou, because the thing is too, like, we gotta think AEW. Yes, it's not ever gonna be in WWE's level when it comes to production, when it comes to even storylines. Right, because like what Lou said, they focus on the in-ring work. Like, this is where the best wrestle. That's their tagline.
Right.
So I think that's what a lot of these online people that Lou's cutting a promo on. I think a lot of these people, what they got to do is they got to take everything that they've learned from WWE over the past 40, 50 years or whatever, throw that shit out the window when you're looking at AEW. It's a completely different show. The booking is different. Like, I saw a lot of people angry that this past week Ospreay and Mark Davis had like a 50-50 match instead of Ospreay getting an easy win. But when do you ever see easy wins on AEW? There's never been. The only time is when it's like Wardlow squashing 2 random jabronis. Yeah. But if it's a actual roster wrestler, they usually get a 50-50 match, even if they're like the Captain Sean Dean or whatever. He's beaten MJF. And he's a no-name on the. He's beating MJF twice. So like, you got to think, like, AEW presents their wrestlers as actual competitors. So any other day, it could be this person's day. Like, Action Andretti beat Chris Jericho. That's something that WWE probably would never do because that's just not the way they book things. But that's why you got to kind of, like, when you're looking at AEW, throw all that stuff that you think about when you think about this is what wrestling is. Throw it out the window, because this is a completely different company. And I think that's what a lot of people have in their mind. They want it to be WWE light, but that would be boring. That would be so boring. It would never look good, because WWE knows what the hell they're doing.
Exactly.
And also too, like, when you think about WWE and you think about all the people that we know backstage just because we're fans, like Michael P.S. Hayes, Bruce Pritchard, Paul Heyman. Meanwhile, AEW, all we know is Tony Khan.
All we know is Tony. That's right.
Like,
yeah.
and this is 52 weeks of television that this one guy needs to create. Like, we gotta give this guy some grace. Like, I know it's fun to shit on Tony Khan and shit on his booking, but he is creating 52 weeks of live television, multiple shows a week.
It's true.
This is why
this shit is hard.
Tony needs a number two.
Oh, for sure.
He can't be doing this all by himself. The man, he owns other major corporations and businesses. Then he has to find time to write for TV for 4 hours.
How he does it.
Come on, man. Like, you need a number two, right? Vince had Bruce Pritchard, he had Michael P.S. Hayes, he had Kevin
Paul
Dunn,
Heyman.
he had a ton of people that were not necessarily writing, but also coming up with like, yo, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of A, B, C, and D? He had other people around him. Who's Tony? Like, who are the elder statesmen in Tony's life that's helping him create TV? Tony needs that help. And I think until then, we're going to see some struggling storylines. Like, yo, there's no reason Death Riders should feel this dull and bland with that group. Like, it started off real hot and you were like, okay, I'm with it. I'm a huge Moxley fan now, which is crazy to say. I'm a bigger Moxley fan now than I ever was in WWE. I didn't like Moxley. I thought he was whack. I felt like he was a guy who the company clearly was trying to hold back, and he kept trying to go against the grain, and they just kept pushing like, listen, man, you can't do that here. But in AEW, he's a workhorse, and he's great at everything he does in a lot of different aspects. I just think this specific story could have been hotter. And I think there's no excuse for that, right? Like, Tony should have had somebody be like, listen, man, I don't know about this. And I just don't feel like he has that person in his ear. I don't know. And that's what's causing some of the struggle in the stories, big time. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I want to make one last point, and we'll move on. And this discussion, it just basically reaffirms how fickle wrestling fans are, right? Because weren't we all complaining, wrestling fans? Weren't we all complaining 7 years ago, before AEW came into the picture, about how WWE's matches, storylines, like the product was just boring, bland, unpredictable? That was a big reason why a lot of the fans at the time, including myself, were tuning into New Japan Pro Wrestling events and all that other stuff, because we wanted to see like I'm saying hardcore, but we wanted to see a different style of wrestling, like bell-to-bell action, right? Alternative programming. We give you the alternative programming, and mind you, AEW, obviously the buzz waned a bit after the first 2 or 3 years, but it's like, why can't we all just celebrate different promotions for what they are individually? You know, I don't want to be comparing AEW to WWE all the time, or TNA to what WWE is doing, or what AEW is doing in comparison to New Japan. Like, every brand has its own identity, I would hope, right? You know, I'm not going to tune into an MLW show and say, God, there's no Seth Rollins on this program. There's no Cody Rhodes. Like, this sucks. These storylines are horrible. No, like, I'm watching it because it's a different brand, and I want to see different characters on screen put on a similar yet unique performance. And that's all, you know. I think we all just need to just take a step back and really appreciate the amount of variety that we have in pro wrestling today.
That's true, man. Listen, we are very lucky. This could have been a monopoly like we've seen in the past of WWE just being the only product, which was probably some of the worst programming I've ever seen in my life.
Some of those years were terrible.
Those were rough, man. Those were rough. That's why I turned to alternative programming like reality TV, thanks WWE. And now I can't escape it. Now I'm hooked. It's like a crackhead. Like, I can't stop watching. But listen, man, you're right, Lou. Listen, we should just be celebrating that we got different brands out here that we could tune in. You know, we could just go into it.
I always just think of 10-year-old Joel and how excited he would be that there was wrestling on every single day of the week. Like, that is crazy. Yeah. Come on, fans.
Word.
Like, y'all don't know how good y'all have it.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Seriously.
That's true. Now, fellas, I wanted to get into let me see. Hold on. Yeah, I wanted to get into some of the post Rumble, some of the post Rumble thoughts. Like, have we changed our minds or perspectives on what happened at the Rumble? So we had some time to think about it. And for me right now, the only thing that keeps sticking in my head is the Charlotte Flair of it all. We've seen Charlotte on TV recently. She's getting mixed reviews, she get mixed reaction. I don't know where she's leaning. I think her and Tiffany Stratton is probably a lock. I like that. But people have been crapping on this Charlotte win. And to me, it took me time. I was one of them. I was like, oh, damn. You heard the music, the slow walk, the pyro. Homegirl had pyro for a Rumble. So did AJ Styles. But when you got the pyro, and in this Rumble specifically with the women, it was like, oh, man. Okay. Well, we're gonna give it to Charlotte. My only gripe is I just wish Charlotte came back a little different, like a little edgier, maybe leather jacket versus the robe, maybe a darker hair color. I don't know, maybe tanner. I don't know what she could have done. But Charlotte is where I don't know what they're gonna do with her. I'm curious. What do you guys' thoughts? Any change in your thoughts of what happened at the Rumble, real quick?
I don't have a change with regards to how I felt about the Charlotte Flair thing. I wasn't overly excited about it. It was cool to see her back, but I didn't hate it either. I'm kind of in the middle because I want to see what they do with her heading into WrestleMania. If they're gonna make some tweaks to her presentation.
Yeah.
Is she gonna continue to be a tweener, or is she gonna go full-fledged heel? Because if she's getting mixed reactions, then the babyface thing isn't gonna work. Because Tiffany Stratton is really over anyway.
Exactly.
But I don't know who else they could have had win the Royal Rumble anyway. So that's why I don't understand. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand like why people are in such an uproar. And there was sort of a mixed reaction, not from the crowd on Raw, but on social media when Jey Uso won. And that kind of, I was taken aback by that too, because there's this whole narrative of like, some people were saying Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble because of the entitlement of, he deserved it. I don't know. The word deserved, that opens up a whole can of worms because like who really deserves anything in wrestling, right? It's just a matter of, I mean, it's a work.
Right
people,
time,
like,
right place. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Right place.
If you are over, right? Like if you are over and you sell merchandise, like this is a business, folks.
It's a business, yeah.
Like, yes, you want to be the best at your craft, like your in-ring craft, but that's only half of it. Like you have to have the character work. So if I'm someone like Jey Uso, I may have a very repetitive moveset and a repertoire in the ring, but the fans are digging me. It's a great visual every time I come out, and the fans, the whole entire arena or stadium is waving their arms up and down.
But Lewis, you
got the sunglasses.
But is that it? Is this it? Now I'm leaning towards Joel and the hater side. Like I'm happy for him, but is there any more? You strip that away. Are we still? Is that the thing that's getting him over? Like, is anything else getting him over?
But that's part of it.
But that's what I'm saying. Right? Yeah, because like, yeah, that's like if I said, think back to 25 years ago in the year 2000, right? That's like if I said, and this is The Rock, like peak Rock, right? That's like if I said, if you take away The Rock's catchphrases, Do you have the Rock? Like, no, you don't have the Rock. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that are etched in a wrestler's identity, if you will. So this is Jey Uso's identity. This is who he is. And that's why they have to. He's riding this wave, and WWE has to strike while the iron is hot. Because the biggest mistake that you can make is letting him get even hotter heading into WrestleMania, and then you have a 2014 situation all over again, where the fans turn on the planned main event and they want Daniel Bryan. You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of thing. So if you're over, and I'm not just saying Jey Uso, but if you're over and you're selling merch, like the fans are the ones who dictate a wrestler's push. If you're not over with the fans, you are not getting pushed. So why are people so up in arms about, oh, this person is winning because they quote unquote deserve it? Like, I don't understand it. I don't like. Okay,
now,
who's hotter? Like, who's hotter?
Do you think WWE continues and Jey Uso is actually main eventing a WrestleMania? Do you think we get swerved in any way where that changes somehow into a possible 3-way, or Jey loses the opportunity to wrestle at Mania? Like, do you think we are getting Jey versus whoever at Mania?
Yeah,
main event. Okay.
Yeah,
a lot of people were talking about, like, yo, this may be a swerve. We may not get this.
He may not. Well, I'll say this: he may not necessarily main event like the closing match of Saturday night or Sunday night.
He'll get his title,
but he'll get his world title shot. Like, I don't. That wouldn't really make much sense to remove him from the picture. Right. He is literally one of the hottest stars in all of wrestling. So why wouldn't you push him? Like, who are you going to push instead? 50-year-old CM Punk? Look, I get it. The fans love CM Punk, and
I love
CM Punk.
CM Punk. This is great. It's great.
I totally understand CM Punk's appeal. I get it. I understand it. But him coming out this past Saturday at the Royal Rumble, it just made it even more evident that CM Punk is past his prime.
Yeah,
okay?
1,000%.
Like, whether these butthurt fans like it or not, this is a hot take, but whether these butthurt fans like it or not, CM Punk does not belong in the spot that Cody Rhodes is, which is WWE champion carrying the belt for the company. Yeah. Not at this stage in his career. And I don't care who I got to argue that point to. Like, this is 2025. I don't. So you gonna tell me that CM Punk, those fans, they're not gonna argue against CM Punk deserving a main event? He deserves a main event after he fucking was out of the company for over a decade. Give me a break, folks.
I feel you, man. I hear you.
Give me a break.
I hear you. I just think CM Punk will hold that title. One of them. He's gonna get the championship. I think that was one of the bigger. I think that's one of the conversations he had before even signing a contract. Was like, listen, I want to win a title, and I think that's the one thing we'll see Punk get at some point. It doesn't need to be anytime soon, but it probably has to be, because, like you said, Lewis, Punk
time soon.
Punk is out of his prime. Listen, homeboy's one more springboard drop kick away from shattering in the ring. Like, he's just going to shatter like glass. Like, he is glass. He's that Sam Jackson character from what was that, from Unbreakable? He's that guy. He can't do it. If he falls on something, he's going to shatter something. It's going to be a wrap. So
he looks good, but he doesn't look like you know what I'm saying. He doesn't look like I don't know, man. I'm gonna shut up.
Listen, you listen.
I'm talking too much.
I get you. Joe, what's your thoughts, man? Any Rumble stuff?
I mean, I think when it comes to, like, people being upset about Jey, I think it's everybody got worked. They got worked because it's literally what it is. I hate, and that's why I hate. Like, I don't know. I guess this episode became the hate on fans episode.
Yeah, I know, right?
But one of the things I do hate about, like, wrestling fandom is, like, yo, when it doesn't go your way, that's okay. Just because you fantasy booked it in your head, that CM Punk was going to win, or John Cena, or Roman Reigns, which is a great job by the company to get everybody. It swerved all of us because we all thought the same too. Nobody thought Jey Uso was going to win. So like, it made sense. And then you put all these guys like CM Punk, John Cena, Roman Reigns. You put all these guys who are made men in the Royal Rumble. Yep. And then you let somebody who's not made yet win it. It makes all the sense in the world. Jey Uso, yes, he is the biggest merch seller, and he is main event Jey Uso, quote unquote, but he's not that main event. He's a main event by name, which is literally what Gunther told him 2 weeks ago. You're main event by name. You're not actually main event.
Which was now dope, by the way. Gunther
now this solidifies him as actual main event Jey Uso. He supposedly gets to main event WrestleMania. Let's see if it actually happens and he gets one of the nights. I don't know if he will, but honestly, I think if you're gonna crown him as champion, that's a great way to end your first night of WrestleMania. Crown Jey Uso as champion, like the whole crowd goes happy. The whole crowd yeeting, 70,000 people yeeting with Jey Uso as champion. It makes a lot of sense. So I don't know about that. And then when it comes to Charlotte, I don't know why everybody hates Charlotte. When did that happen?
I don't hate Charlotte.
I'm a Charlotte fan. I love Charlotte.
Wrestler of
all
time. I'm not gonna, but
and then
I
get it. People want something different from her, but she's literally Ric Flair's daughter. Like, she's a Flair. She's being a Flair. That is her character. What else is she supposed to do? She can't pretend that she's not a Flair. She's literally Charlotte Flair. Like, I don't know how you change. You can't change her character too drastically. Like, you could maybe get her like a faction, something to like give her a little bit of appeal. But besides that, like she should always be cocky. She should always come in and go after championships right away, because that's kind of her character. It doesn't make sense for her to be like in the mid card. And I think this is actually something, going back to our initial discussion about AEW, this is something AEW should learn. Like, you have these people who are a little bit above everyone else, and that's okay, because everyone has a spot in wrestling. It's not shitting on Lyra Valkyria or I don't know, Dakota Kai. It's not shitting on them to say like they're not believable to beat Charlotte or win the Royal Rumble. It's more like, yo, you are in your spot right now. Eventually you might get to that Charlotte spot. Yeah. But Charlotte makes sense winning the Royal Rumble because she comes in and she wins everything. That's her character. She's supposed to win everything. I get that people are upset at that, but it's wrestling at the end of the day, guys. Like, like we can't really do anything about it. It's
the most bizarre thing. Like, it's television. It's literally television.
It's a show. It's a show.
Wrestling. Yeah.
No, I think that's like, and it's part of the issue when it comes from wrestling, because we all live in kayfabe and we all choose to believe in this, even though we all know it's not. But at the end of the day, it's a show. So it's not like we could really like it's not like someone isn't deserving or not deserving. It's all written. Like, it's like the most marky shit to be like, this guy didn't deserve it. Like, what do you mean?
Listen, man, some wrestling fans are just over the top, crazy weirdos. Like, I'm sorry, I love you guys. I love them.
I know,
and it makes everyone else look so bad.
Yeah, like they go way too hard. Like, they're like,
we
outraged. They were outraged, right? Like,
I know, and relax. We love. Listen, we love the wrestling community. Yeah. We do. But at the same time, there's those folks that, like Kayode said, it's just really outrageous. They just take it like, yo, relax. Exactly, relax. It is a television product.
Yo, are you on payroll or something? Like,
are y'all even enjoying this shit right now? Why y'all watching this? Are y'all enjoying this? I get it though, because there was a while that I was hate watching WWE for a long time. When there was no other show in town and there was basically nothing until like I started watching.
That's all we had to do. That's how we passed the time on. We had to hate something. We needed something. Yeah, and WWE was that for a long time, man.
I think the haters club for this episode is the fans.
Yeah, the fans.
Yeah, I think it might collective hater club.
Collective hater club.
This is the collective hater club.
Yeah. Well, listen, fellas, that was a good Rumble recap. I wanted to get into a little bit of my show and love. So I got a show and love for someone specific. Someone. Actually, I got two people. first on my list of showing some love is none other than Harley Cameron. Let's give it up. Harley Cameron. My God, guys. She is a gem. Who knew she was
right? She's killing.
Who knew Harley Cameron was this talented? I had her. She had me with the Mercedes Moné puppet when she took that.
That was hilarious.
She took the Mercedes Moné puppet out. I was like, yo, yeah, you need to main event at WrestleMania. Like that's like I was in deep. I was like, yo, she's dope. Lewis and I had the pleasure of meeting her at a WrestleMania 39 like little thing, Mick Foley and friends thing. Like we got to actually talk to her. She came up, she was really chill.
Yeah.
But bro, like the work she's doing now is just funny. It's original. She's mixing it up. She's not just singing songs and playing the guitar. Who knew she was a ventriloquist? You can't even tell. She's not even moving her mouth. Like listen, I think she's good. She just needs to get one big level notch better in the ring.
Yeah.
But other than that, fellas, I don't know. Do y'all disagree? Like, what do y'all think of my pick of Harley Cameron as showing love? Like, what do you think?
I love Harley Cameron. She is so damn entertaining. And I knew it was only a matter of time because I think it was like 2 years ago, where Harley Cameron was part of this angle. And then I remember that she did a music video. I forget who they were feuding with. Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell you for the life of me, but I'll have to look that up. But she did this promo where she was recording a music video and it was like dissing the other wrestler or something like that. But they never took it and ran with it because Harley Cameron was still kind of new.
Right.
But now that it's been some time and Tony Khan is putting more faith in her, you really get to see her just be her natural self, which is like this quirky goof. She is literally the AEW version of Chelsea Green. Like everything that Chelsea Green does is super entertaining. She oozes confidence. Yeah. She knows how to handle her screen time. Mm-hmm. And I get the same sense with Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron she's like busting out instruments. She's a ventriloquist. She's a great fucking trap rap star. Yeah. Like I'm like, what the hell? Like when she said that she was gonna be at Collision doing her Houston Harley halftime show, as she calls it, I was like, yo, I'm buying a ticket.
You might get a ticket.
I need to go to Collision this Saturday. Like what?
Yeah, dude.
Harley.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think, man? I'm putting Harley over big time tonight.
Yeah. I mean,
he's killing it right now.
I gotta agree with you guys. Big fan of Harley. I think she was feuding with the Acclaimed when she did that music video. I think it might have been.
Was that what it was? The Acclaimed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And and it's cool because like you could kind of, if you've been paying attention, you could kind of see like she's been bubbling a little bit. So like there was that angle. There was the angle where QT Marshall, where they had like the TMZ type thing, and she was in the backstage. It was a weird angle, but she was always like the highlight of that angle as well, like the little backstage segments. And then I think a couple weeks back she had a match on Collision against Thunder Rosa, and that's when I really started noticing her. And it was like because she came out dressed as like a Mexican luchador cat or some shit. she pretended that yeah, and then she did the Harley Graham thing too. She pretended she was a hologram Harley Graham. Like she's been doing these little funny characters every now and then. And like you said, like Tony Khan must have basically been like, "Hey, free range, show your character," and you could tell that it's been a complete. Ever since then, it's been a complete different thing. And I agree with you. She definitely could improve in the ring a little bit, but she's only had like 20 televised matches in her career.
I didn't realize how new she is. Yeah, you're right.
She's very new. So hell yeah, man. I'm very excited about her.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Now, my second show in love too goes to these brothers right here who put on a hell of a show. A hell of clinic. Hell of a clinic last night. Ricochet and Swerve, they killed it. You could tell these guys definitely know they've worked together. Obviously, they've wrestled each other before. Oh yeah. Back in the day, there's a mega chemistry. They got this. It just works. And I loved that Ricochet threw Nana to the floor, took Homeboy's Coming to America jacket. He took it. He took that shit. He took it with him. And now Ricochet's got the cape. And listen, Ricochet is not the greatest on the mic, but what he's doing with this story and character is good. And he is good. And he is as good as we're going to see on the mic right now. I think this is his ceiling. And I think for what he's doing with this whole like crazy psycho kind of thing going on with him and Swerve, I'm digging it. I think it's great. It's the best stuff I've seen Ricochet in. Oh yeah, I can't remember anything I was this intrigued about. And obviously, it's going to go on a little longer because he stole this precious, Nana jacket cape that comes from Nana's family lineage, or something like that. And we don't know where else is going to happen. So Swerve's got to get his lick back. So, we're probably going to get another banger. But yeah, what do you guys think? Did you see the match? What do you guys think of the match if you saw it?
I only got to see highlights of the match, but Ricochet has been very entertaining ever since this feud started. I don't really have any complaints about the work that Ricochet is doing. So I say keep on keeping on. Like, props to Ricochet. And you're right, this has been the most entertaining that I've seen him unmasked. Well, yeah, because I mean, the Prince Puma days on Lucha Underground, that was great. Yeah, but he never spoke a word.
Yeah.
But this is Ricochet is on to something. And then, he's got that obnoxious Jadakiss laugh.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's good.
Yeah, how about you, Joe? He's doing good work right now.
Yeah, man. I caught the match. It was a really good match, and it just goes to show like the importance of building a match for a while too, because like they've been promoting this match for a couple of weeks now. Mm-hmm. So like I think everybody was anticipating this match. It was an exciting matchup, perfect main event to Dynamite, and they killed it. They gave them like I think it was like an 8-minute overrun or something. Like they because there was like 10 minutes left, and I was like, oh man, it's gonna be some stupid swerve or something. We're not gonna get a full match. But nah, they ended up going the full like 20 minutes. Match was great. And yeah, man, I gotta agree. Ricochet has been killing it. And what I'm really noticing as well is that they're playing to his strengths a lot. So like, he's not the best. He's not the best on the mic, but what they'll do is like that a couple weeks ago when he came out and he just didn't say a word until he was just like, a picture's worth 1,000 words. And he showed the picture of Swerve bloodied up. And then on Collision, they had a sit down with Ricochet and Renee, and Swerve came into the sit down and kind of like pushed Renee out of the way and sat down, and they just had like this super like cinematic talk, and it was really dope. And I'm like, really good. More of this, please. Like, this was awesome. Swerve, I think Swerve deserves like so much credit, man. He has been crushing. He's the MVP of AEW.
Yeah, you gotta give it. You gotta give it for sure. So it's definitely the MVP.
He makes everything feel important and fun. Like the Bobby Lashley feud he had was great. Hangman, obviously, of course. His title run, he made the best out of it. Like, he's been killing it for the last year and a half. And like anything Swerve touches is gold right now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. Great. That's the showing love, man. Harley Cameron and the Swerve and Ricochet match. Two highlights. That puppet is over. I'm sorry. That puppet is how could you just? I pop every time I see it. It's got the purple hair, the chain. It's ridiculous. It's good. It's good, and I hope they keep feeding into that and let her get that creativity out. She seems like she's got a bag of tricks, so who knows what else she's got. But sticking with AEW, fellas, I wanted to bring this up as a short little topic before we get to before we get to Joel's haters club, if he's got a haters club. I have some concerns, fellas. I got some concerns. And my biggest concern is for the women of AEW. Man, I wish I had the Undertaker's theme right now because I feel it's dead on arrival. Like I feel there's not enough. We're not seeing these women enough. Like 1 week, you got a match with you got oh man, Julia Hart and oh man, who's the chick that came back from England? Jamie Hayter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Obviously, their feud isn't done. Then we don't see them for 2 weeks. Like, where have they been? Like, am I missing? Do I actually have to start watching Collision now? Because I don't know
Probably.
I don't know where they're at. Like, I don't like the start and stop. I don't like the fact that we only get one women's kind of promo in the back or backstage interview and one women's match. There's too many of them. And a lot of them need the reps. Like, what are we talking about? This was the problem with Jade, was that Jade, she got reps at first, then kind of died down, and then she started to get very stagnant with her wrestling, and you barely saw her, and it just kept her at a very mediocre level. Like she didn't improve at all, really. Some of them don't need that many reps, but they do definitely need to be on TV to progress the women's division. Like one match per show, like I think is whack. This week on NXT had at least 3 women's matches, not including backstage interviews and promos and vignettes. I don't know, man. I'm just very very confused, and I don't like the way the women they're being shaped and shown on TV. Deonna Purrazzo has a problem with her push. She doesn't like the start and stop. She already said it. Taya Valkyrie, who I think is decent in the ring, but has personality, has a look. I think she should be doing more on the heel side, and we're not seeing that. I mean, for Christ's sake, Athena is doing probably some of the best work in her career on a show that nobody can find, watch, or care about. I don't know what she did in the back that is keeping her on ROH, or maybe Tony's just like, yo, I need one solid wrestler on that show, and I need to just keep you there for a little bit. Like, I don't know what the conversation is, but her not being on TV is crazy. I don't know. Like, I'm looking at this picture, I'm like, damn, like we're half of these people I haven't seen in weeks. Like, like where's everybody at? I don't know. Layla Gray apparently had a banger on Collision or not Collision. It might have, maybe it wasn't even Collision. It was like a different
ROH, I think.
ROH that fellas, where are we at with this women's division? Is this it? Joel, what do you think, man? I don't know.
It's hard, like, because I'm looking at this list. This picture you have up here, and it's like, yeah, these are all formidable, great women that could all be using more television time.
Yeah.
But then, if you pull up the men's roster, we're gonna see probably 20 people that we could probably argue should be on TV as well. I think it's just the embarrassment of riches, man. Like, they have way too much going on for what AEW grew really fast. And I think it's getting to the point now where they're feeling all those growing pains because it's like they have to go to smaller venues. They're not getting the ratings as much as they used to. And now you have a huge roster and not enough time. You cut off Rampage. You only have 4 hours of TV. If you give time to, and pick and choose who you want to give time to, obviously Will Ospreay is going to get time. Obviously MJF is going to get time. Right. Kenny Omega, Copeland, Mox, like you got a fucking crazy roster. Yeah. So it's like, I get it, but yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like there is a lot that they could be doing better by the women. I don't think Tony Khan or whoever is doing the booking has proven to be really good when it comes to women's booking.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of start and stop. Megan Bain, for example, had a great,
dude, what the Megan
great
Bain.
Showing, got a nice buzz after the Casino Royale, and then her next match is on Collision, and and it's a squash match that, like, I don't know. Someone needs to do something with the division. It seems like they book 4 women good at a time, and that's it. Like, it'll be like right now it's Toni Storm, Mariah May, incredible feud, and then Mercedes and Harley Cameron. Those are like the 4 women they're booking like really good right now, and everybody else is kind of like to the wayside. So yeah, there needs to be something. I don't know what they could do. I don't know if they need another like Rampage type show, something, or even AEW Dark. Like, I'm sure they're probably missing that because a lot of people, like, if you think about it, Julia Hart, who's actually really good now, started off on Dark.
She started off
even
on
like
Dark,
Penelope Ford, Taya Valkyrie, like all of these wrestlers are like, they're not getting those reps, like you said, and then no one's watching ROH.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough position, but I don't know, man. I don't know what you could do, because do you take away time from your bigger stars to get these women on the? Because like with NXT, you bring up NXT, but NXT doesn't have the pressure of having all these big name stars. So like they get to play around and throw in Jada Parker and throw in
Miss
Tatum
Jada
Paxley.
Yes.
Miss Jada Finesse, exactly.
Miss Jada.
But like you don't have to worry about your big star that you just paid $5 million to, like Mercedes, or Okada or Osprey. Like, you could just be like, oh yeah, throw the women out there because we're paying them all the same anyway, since we're in developmental. You know?
Isn't that crazy? Is Mercedes' contract $5 million?
That's the rumor.
That is that's the craziest I've ever heard.
That's a lot of money.
Like, you overpaid. Like, you paid a premium plus more. Like, damn, that's way too much for someone who's barely on TV and not even driving ratings for you like that in the first place. Like, she has not moved the needle to garner $5 million. Triple H would never do that. He'd be like,
but she's a CEO. CEOs are always overpaid.
He'd be like,
that's a valid point.
Triple H would be like, listen, you could go down south and see what they'll give you. You could go. I ain't doing that. That's crazy. Lewis, what do you think, man? The women's division, man.
I gotta agree with Joel's take here, because it is an embarrassment of riches, and God bless anybody who's running a wrestling promotion and they have that much talent on the roster for both men and women, because that is such a hard thing, because you want to keep everybody happy, but you also have to do what's best for business. So you're going to end up pissing people off when they're not on TV. That graphic that you displayed moments ago, holy moly, that is a ton of talent, man.
Yeah.
And Joel hit on a great point. It's only 4 hours of TV time, not including ROH. But I think my thinking is that this goes back to Collision not being clearly defined as far as who's supposed to be on Collision and who's supposed to be on Dynamite. Because I tune into Dynamite and I'm expecting to see guys like Jon Moxley, Will Ospreay, Swerve, MJF, and then on the women's side, Mariah May, Toni Storm, Mercedes. But then part of me is also, as I'm watching Dynamite, like, yo, what happened to this person? Or what happened to this tag team? Only to find out that they're showing highlights of something that happened on Collision on Saturday night, and I didn't watch it. Because first of all, Collision is on a terrible time slot. It's on a Saturday night.
Terrible.
But I noticed that something that they've been doing this year, I'm saying recently, but like once January and the new year began, they're starting to prioritize Collision a little more. Mm-hmm. They're putting bigger angles, bigger names.
They have to. Yeah.
Joel, you mentioned Megan Bayne. I think Megan Bayne is just going to be a Collision mainstay for now. Because she'll get her reps in. It doesn't take TV time away from the bigger names on Wednesday, because Wednesday's the A show. So, it kind of makes sense. But I think that's ultimately what's going on with the women's division. Like, they don't know who they want to place on their A show consistently and who they want to put on Collision and who they want to shuffle back and forth. And they gotta do better. And it's already going on 2 years that Collision has been introduced. They got to do better with distinguishing the two shows. Like, why am I tuning into Dynamite versus Collision? Is it a continuum of storylines? Like, are we having continuity? So whatever happens on Dynamite on Wednesday night, there's implications for Saturday, and then whatever happens Saturday,
Yeah.
That is it that? Or is it like the way WWE has their shows structured, where there's a specific roster of talent on Raw and a specific roster of talent on SmackDown and a specific roster of talent on NXT? Because then you got ROH, which is like, the rumor is that Tony Khan is working on an actual television deal for ROH, but
That could, okay.
like not a lot of eyes are on ROH. So, many might feel that those women are being underutilized because they might be putting on bangers, but again, who's watching it? So
Right.
I think it's just clearly defining who's on what show and where can I find these women, because there's too many to obviously fit in within 4 hours of television. But at least if you give me a roster of like 15 female names, this is who you would find on Dynamite every Wednesday. And then another 15 to 20 names, like this is who you would find on Collision, then that would, what I'm saying? That would give a clearer sense of where the women are at and how they're being booked.
So they either need a roster, like you explaining, Lewis, a nice little roster split, and they might have to cut some people off because they might have to snip them. You know what I'm saying? They might have to, get some people out of it.
You pulled some Mafia Sopranos Goodfellas shit, yo.
Might have to get rid of some people, man. They might, that one over there. They might have to get rid of them. I mean, like Joel, you were saying, it's an embarrassment of riches that they're basically not using and paying a lot of money to. Yeah. They have not had a hard release of any kind that I know of, and it's probably time to start slimming down the roster because of the lack of television programming. They lost an hour, so ROH is not nationally televised. Maybe he's working on that to see if he could throw some people on there. If that works, then maybe that's probably why he's holding off from something like that. But you probably still need to slim down your roster, bruh. You might need to look at some people like, listen, man, when was the last time I had you on TV? Like, and looking at that picture, I could have picked out at least 5 women that could have been like, see you next Tuesday. Like, we don't need you. We don't need you. You know what I'm saying? But the women's woes will still continue until something happens, and I want to see the women win. I want to see them win. We can't end episode 81 without a good old haters club. We can't.
We did a lot of hate in this episode already.
Yeah, there was a lot of hate already. Lewis, we won't bring in Joel's haters club with the booze. We gotta let the people hear it. Now, Joel, what we got for haters?
So I had a lot of trouble thinking of like, who am I gonna hate on this week? Right? And there wasn't too many out there. I would say this week was actually a pretty good week in wrestling when it comes to the characters. Dynamite was pretty solid. Raw was solid by the numbers, but solid. Royal Rumble was good. But I'm going to have to hate on Kenny Omega for real quick.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
And this is big for me because I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan. But this is almost not even a hate. It's almost more like, are you okay, bro? Like, I'm checking in on him, man. As like a fan of Kenny Omega, I kind of feel like he might have lost his smile. I don't know about you guys, what you guys think, but it feels like he's not there 100%. I don't know if this is his character he's trying to portray. But, like, I don't know. It seems like he's phoning it in with his feud with the Don Callis family, Will Ospreay. They hated each other for a second. Then they became best friends. They literally would call each other best friends this week on Dynamite. I was like, that's fast. He comes out. He comes out dressed in like a GameStop T-shirt and a pair of Jenko jeans. And I'm like, come on. This is my god of pro wrestling right here. I can't imagine me telling like a casual guy who only only watches WWE, used to Roman Reigns presentation, used to Charlotte Flair presentation. And I'm like, nah. Those are great. They're great characters, but I'm going to show you the god of pro wrestling. Come, tune into Dynamite real quick with me. I throw on Dynamite, and this guy comes out in a in a GameStop Street Fighter t-shirt and some Jenko jeans, man. Hair looking frizzy. Hair's not even wet. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. And like, I'm not even like the big like presentation guy. Because at the end of the day, I like the in-ring work. I'm an AEW mark because I like the in-ring work. I know Kenny Omega, as soon as the bell rings, is gonna give us a show. But like, give us a little bit of effort when it comes to your character a little bit. Like, I feel like he's kind of given up on the character side of wrestling in a weird way. Like, he's just like, this is me. Fans know who I am. And that's it. But like, no, like there's people that are tuning in for the first time. You gotta always play to those people. It's like what they always say, you gotta play to the people in the nosebleeds and exactly. But he's like, right now, he's just a regular guy. Like, if I'm in the nosebleeds of that crowd and that guy comes out, and that's my first time seeing AEW, and you're telling me this is the guy that this company was built after, this is who this whole company represents. Come on, like, you got to think about this a little bit, and I think that's why they gave him like all that weird pyro at the end of that segment that made no sense, because it was like it made no sense. They just threw a bunch of pyro at the end of his promo, and it's just like, what the hell is that? Like, what's even he was like, that surprised me. It's like, get it together, guys, come on. So this is less of a hater club. It's more of a, are you okay, Kenny? From the bottom of my heart, are you okay? I don't want you to lose if you're not having fun, just go back to Japan, where they present you like a fucking god there. You come out, his Wrestle Dynasty match in Japan, he came out with new Final Fantasy music. He came out with his big like garb and his robe for wrestling. He looked like the wrestling god that we all fell in love with from back in the day. And then he comes to AEW and he's just some dude in a t-shirt. Like,
Joel, man, I agree with you.
I don't know.
Something's off with Kenny, but I'm going to be honest. I've never been high on Kenny in terms of him being a star. Kenny's not a star to me. He's his stardom. His star comes out when he's in the ring, and he's that ring general. Yeah. He's that's where you see him being a star. Behind the mic, Kenny's he's a regular guy, and he talks like a regular guy. He doesn't try to be a Roman Reigns. He doesn't try to be. He doesn't try to come off as the man or as the person who is the one of the founding fathers of this company. Like, he doesn't come off that way, because he's just being his authentic self in that ring, and that was one of the reasons why his title reign was a little lackluster. That was in AEW. That was one of the reasons why some rumors were like, the start and stop with Kenny in terms of, just strapping the rocket to him and being like, yo, listen, you're going to be the guy, happened because some had doubts that he could perform in terms of delivering a believable promo or not being the guy. Like, even when the pyro went off and him having like, whoa, like, all that dumb, like, come on, Kenny. Just flow with it, baby. Like, even if I'm Tony Khan and I didn't tell you pyro's going off, but it's going off, just be like shaking your head and pointing to the pyro and be like getting the crowd hyped. Like, you're a professional wrestler and you've been doing this forever. Work the crowd, do some, like, be in it. I don't want to see Kenny be Kenny Omega, like be like regular Kenny with the GameStop shirt. And you know what I'm saying? Like,
what it is?
I don't.
This is what it is. This is what it is. He's not being Kenny Omega. He's being whatever his government name is. Like, he's not a character anymore. He's not even a character at all. Like, at least, you're right. He was never the star. He was never presented as the big star. But at least be a wrestler, not just like, hey, guy. Like, I feel like he's, in a sense, almost like an inside like joke with the audience. Like, he's like trying to be almost like an Orange Cassidy, like, because like when he at the end when he's like, whoa, that was like, I wasn't expecting the pyro, or even the other the other week when they're like on this big ass thing climbing it, and he's giving a promo from that big structure, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna get down from here because I'm scared of heights. Like,
Right.
I get what you're
Bro.
doing. You're trying to be relatable and you're trying to be like haha, but like your point shouldn't be to make the crowd laugh. Like
Exactly.
it's not improv comedy night. Like, it's professional wrestling at the end of the day. You should be treated like a professional wrestler. Like, and it kind of takes away from the whole feud, because now it kind of feels like it's a joke. Like, this should be a blood feud. You hate Don Callis. You should be angry as hell. You should be like, I'm not getting any of that from him at all.
No.
Like, it just seems very like, I'm just here. Honestly, and maybe this is a hot take, Kenny Omega's probably going to be in the Royal Rumble in like 2 years. I don't think he's happy. He doesn't look happy in AEW. He doesn't look happy. He kind of looks like he's done it all in AEW. Like, what is left for him to do? He's main evented Tokyo Dome. He's main evented Wembley. Well, not Wembley, but he wrestled in Wembley. He's pretty much done everything that he could do outside of WWE when it comes to a wrestler. Yeah. So I could see him leaving AEW.
I could see him leaving AEW, but I don't think WWE would sign him to anything, really, to tell you the truth. I don't think they would have anything. I don't think they would have anything for him. You think they would? You think H would sign?
Of course, hell yeah, dude.
I don't think he's going to be
such a flex.
Though.
That's such a flex, just to be like, we have two of your co-founders in our company, Cody and Kenny.
I guess if you look at it that way, maybe. Yeah, but
you know how petty Triple H is. Come on, man.
H is petty. Yeah, you're right. He'll sign Omega.
He'll sign Omega and push him to the moon, just to be like, look what you could have done.
Exactly. Yes, and maybe, man. Lewis, what's your thoughts, man?
Those are interesting takes. I gotta sit on that, because that's very, very interesting. And I kind of thought that something was off with Kenny, but I just couldn't put my finger on it. But yeah, I'm gonna let this fester a little bit.
Yeah.
You ain't on the hater club train with me yet.
No, not quite. I'm trying to figure it out. Kenny is coming across like an enigma rather than a definitive wrestling god or star.
Yeah.
Maybe this is storyline. Maybe he's not confident. Maybe he's not confident because of the stomach diverticulitis, whatever. Maybe something like that. But like, I don't know,
because we just saw him in Japan.
Exactly. I think
he was everything there that he should be here. Like,
it's true.
I don't know. I don't know. Kenny's always been the guy. Like, and Lewis put me on to Kenny. I had no idea who Kenny Omega was. Like, a few years back, I was like, Kenny Omega, who's this guy? And I was like, dope. Okay, watched a couple of his matches. Obviously, he's beyond fantastic. See him in the ring doing his thing in terms of holding the mic and trying to present himself as a champion. Fell flat for me. It was like, okay, I don't believe you, homie. Like, this ain't working. I just don't believe him. And he comes out. He has to be, either someone in the back is not telling him, like, listen, be strong, be confident, work the crowd, speak heavy or highly of yourself, your attributes, and make sure, like, either someone's not doing that and someone's like, all right, Kenny, here's a mic, and just push the match for Grand Slam. And, we'll see what happens. Like, someone's got to be coaching these guys. Like, I don't care if you've been wrestling for 40 years, bruh. If I got notes, I'm going to let you know. Like, this is the vibe we're going for in this segment. I need you to produce this, and that is it. Like, I'm your boss. Like, come on, Tony. Tony's killing me. I need to have a conversation with Tony. I need to be in the same room with him. Because we got to let him know. We got to do better on some of these things, man. Got it. You have to. Man. You have to. Man. Well, fellas, this has been fun. This is episode 81 of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Keep watching us, keep joining us. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Check us out whenever you can, y'all, at On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Fellas, any final words before we go?
Yo, run those YouTube numbers up. I see y'all watching, but y'all not subscribing. So y'all better start subscribing, yo.
People watching.
People watching, but they're not subscribing. Hit the subscribe button.
Man. Yeah, you hit that subscribe, man. Lou, any final words from the administrator himself?
Nah, just keep hitting follow and repost all our stuff on Instagram and TikTok. Yeah. And we love you all. Even the annoying marks.
Even the annoying marks. Listen, y'all. Thank you for joining us on episode 81, y'all. Peace.
You have just listened to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, a Scriptly adapted production. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at On the Mark Wrestling. And email us on onthemarkpodcast@gmail.com.